we're good to go.
Okay, we're going to do it
You're
again.
back.
I'm back. Okay.
You're back.
I'm back. Yay! Hearts, 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 hearts. Hearts. Okay. Hello, Facebook and YouTube and Twitch. Again, I'm really sorry, guys. But we're back, and Pasha fixed some technical difficulties. Thank you for bearing with me. So where was I? Let's see, and let me know if this is working. David is saying, but you have a nice smile. Well, I'm glad that it froze on a smile, because that makes me very happy to know. Thumbs up to the boyfriend. Yes. Instagram just saw a whole behind the scenes in that moment. Okay, everybody, we are back. So yeah, I was talking about the concept of, in dance class, I've been relearning that concept of less is more and really celebrating the authenticity of the moment and celebrating the spontaneity and the creative inspirations in a moment. And, you know, it's really easy to play all the flashy stuff and all the riffs and all the lines. But we've been working on the concept of micro movements and how that can actually be even more impactful. And so I've been really digging my brain into that. I think I've been thinking about the parallel, how that affects my music, and when I think about that, and I think the parallel is basically now when I'm playing solos and I'm practicing and I'm recording myself playing a solo, I listen back and I start to think, did I need to play that line? Can I celebrate the silence even more? And I'm trying to be more mindful of the licks that are kind of on automatic pilot under my fingers and trying to play solos that are much more in the moment. And perhaps there are things that I've never played before. And that is a very exciting space to explore. So I would definitely say to all of you that, you know, you can practice this exercise. You can practice in music by adding more silence into your solos. Maybe you can even do an actual exercise where every fourth bar you rest for a full bar. I was talking about this with one of my students the other day. See how hard that is. It's actually really hard to do. And for those of you who don't play an instrument and don't improvise, you can still do this in your everyday life with your dialogue. It doesn't have to be with an instrument. It's actually more, it's a conceptual idea that starts first in our brain and then goes into the music. I would say that an exercise you could use in an everyday conversation is the next time somebody asks you, how are you? How are you doing? Just pause for an extra 5 seconds and think about how you're feeling. Really, because I think most of us get into this place that we say, I'm good, everything's great. And it's such an autopilot moment, right? Like, do you know what I'm talking about? I know Gary on YouTube is saying rest and spaces are important. Duke, I think you're referring to Duke Ellington, right, Gary? Absolutely. Duke is a master at this. And so is the great trumpeter Miles Davis. So I think the next time somebody asks you how you're doing, put in that extra 5 seconds of silence and actually think about, how are you doing? And maybe the answer isn't good. Maybe the answer is, I'm fantastic. Or maybe it's, I'm okay. And it's not necessarily that you have to go into a whole thing about how you're doing. It's more of, in that moment of an autopilot answer, really scanning your mind and your body to come up with the authentic answer. And it's the same thing with music. You know, instead of the autopilot, I'm good, it's that extra bar of rest, or it's coming up with that new line. All right, is that kind of a good analogy? Let me know if it's helpful. Okay, we got some hearts. That's good. Yay. Mark on Instagram is saying sometimes less is more. Absolutely. And somebody else is saying it's not so natural to pause unless you've learned to. And that is exactly why I'm mentioning this exercise of purposely putting in silence into your solos. and into your dialogue every day. I think that's a very, very powerful thing. Hi, Mike. Thanks so much for joining us on Facebook. I'm going to actually give you guys an example of that. I have a little drum loop that is just a sample drum loop on GarageBand. And I wanted to kind of, this might have to stay on. Sorry. I know it's not well, maybe it is a fashionable thing. It's just, I'm caught up in wires. I'm just going to give you an example of me soloing with silence with a drum loop on. All right, so I'm going to boot up GarageBand. Here we go. Oh my God, that's so loud. Sorry, guys. Wow. Instagram, you can't hear this right now because it's only through YouTube and Facebook. But if you go to my other pages, you can hear it. Can you guys hear that? Hi, Dad. Love you too. Can you hear it? So here's an example of exactly what I was talking about. I'm going to solo, and every fourth bar, I'm going to pause. We're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a music lesson here, my friends. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Space. Hey. Every second bar. Woo! Okay. Every third bar. Space. So there you go. Brown is saying, I'm definitely going to have to try that next time I practice. Fantastic. It's not going to necessarily feel intuitive the first time you do it, and that's more reason that you should practice it, because the more that you integrate the silence and kind of edit yourself and literally practice with that in mind, then it will start to seep into your actual improvisation and into your playing. And I would record yourself while soloing to make sure that you're actually breaking in those moments as you're pausing. And so that's a little exercise on my concept of less is more, and expressing and improvising in the moment. Definitely a great thing for me to be revisiting in dance, in music. That's been a wonderful thing to be wrapping my mind around. And it also helps to kind of slow it all down. You might want to first start practicing it to a slow beat so you can really count the bars. Dale is saying, now I want to hear St. Thomas. Oh, it's a good one. I played that a little bit last week. Actually, the great saxophonist Sonny Rollins is a perfect example of someone who really has mastered the art of silence. Listen to his solo on the song The Bridge. It's really the perfect example. I'm really glad that you brought up his name, Dale. Trey, happy Sunday. Thank you so much for tuning in. I love hearing from you guys. Alma, you're very welcome for the tip. I'd love to hear from you guys as you're practicing about how that is going. The other thing I've been working on this past week and really sharpening my skills is music production. As you can see, this is my music studio. I'm in love with it. I can't move the camera for you right now because it's on a tripod, but I have a beautiful woodwind collection that I just love them all dearly. I also obviously have my main axe, which is my alto. I have the big mama, the baritone. I have my flute. I have my clarinets. I'm babysitting my friend's bass clarinet, my friend Felix Pikely. He's a great clarinetist. We have the guitars. We have the ukulele. There you go. So I've been able to do remote recordings from this music studio and be able to send the WAV files to friends. And we got the keyboards in here. So one of my dreams and my goals is to be able to make and produce my own music right in the studio. So it's been, again, a great learning curve to literally relearn, open up Logic, which is a music program, and record tracking with the microphones, setting up the mics right. And I've been watching YouTube tutorials all about music production, and that's something that I actually didn't really study in school. But I think it is an incredible tool for any musician in today's world to know. I actually think it's completely essential to learn about the technology part and how to track your own instrument and how to create your own beats and ultimately like create the music that's in your head. We now have the technology to be able to literally like take the equipment and be mobile. I do that with my pop-up series, literally with the camera setup, and we get clean audio from a wonderful mic that we use, and it is an incredible time to be making music and to have these great tools. So I would definitely recommend, if you don't know how to record yourself, if you have yet to get an interface and Pro Tools or Logic and press the record button, then definitely go get that. It's not expensive equipment. You can certainly get a lot of entry beginner level, even on GarageBand. That's a great tool to make your own beats and make your own music and record yourself. You can literally use the headphones that you get with your iPhone. They have like a built-in microphone. You could even use that to record your instrument on a very, very basic level. So, but in my case, I have an Apogee interface, and I've been using Logic and working on tracking vocals and saxophone and crossfades and getting faster at all of that. And it's a great way to get the ideas from my head out into the computer. That's fantastic. Some of you are commenting saying that you already have been taking audio classes, and Jacob Collier is brilliant. He is a brilliant man at his audio music. He also does all his video editing, which is amazing. So that's been a great thing between, kind of getting deeper into taking, performance art lessons, dancing, getting back into music production and learning a lot of new things has been super, super helpful. The other thing I would say about any new skill, and this certainly applies to learning an instrument, is it's really easy to just get frustrated with it. I mean, playing scales. That certainly didn't come easy in the beginning. It was a lot more of you get the idea. It was a lot more blips. It wasn't quite as smooth. So, I was definitely reminded when I was practicing the other day that there's a whole learning curve, that in the beginning there's a lot of frustrating moments, but that is why practice is such an important thing, because once you do get past those bumps in practicing, then you're able to really freely express the music going on in your head. And I was going somewhere with that. Oh, I've been reading this book, Essentialism. I think I read you guys a chapter a few streams ago. Greg McKeown is the author, and he has a quote, or I'm quoting him from part of the book. It reads, a colleague in New York uses a simple hack. Whenever she schedules a meeting or a phone call, she takes exactly 15 seconds to type up the main objectives for the meeting. So the morning of the meeting, when she sits down to prepare talking points, she can refer to them. So I know we're not talking about business meetings here, but actually that concept has been really kind of a light bulb for me, because there's a lot of times that I'm about to dive into a new thing, whether it's learning a new song or learning a music production thing, and it feels too daunting for me to jump into. So I kind of just say, like, I'm going to do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes around, it still feels too daunting. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get that tomorrow. But this idea of time boxing, whether, spending 15 seconds on something, or I would recommend jumping into the hardest part of your practice first and literally setting a timer for 5 minutes and going into that practice session being like, damn it, I'm gonna go in for the hard stuff, and it's only gonna be 5 minutes. And as soon as that timer's done 5 minutes, you can move on to the next thing. But it's literally just starting. You just gotta do it. You gotta jump into it. You gotta get your hands dirty. It's gonna be messy. It's gonna be frustrating. It's gonna be annoying. But actually, that causes, I think, to just jump into something that's challenging. Also, is you're started. So it's whether it's a live stream or creating the next album, that's a great, great thing. Mark, congratulations. Susan is asking, when is the Sculler show? Actually, I will be back in my hometown of Massachusetts. That's where I grew up. November 30th and December 1st at TCAN in Natick, Mass. We're going to do 2 nights. It's always such a good time. I think you guys can get your tickets now. I'm sure it's out online. Mark is saying Essentialism is a good book. It is definitely. Thomas Anderson, always happy to see this stream. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. Does the 7 o'clock time slot work better for you? I'm just curious if it works better to hang at night. Alistair, it can only improve and get easier when you start with the hardest bit. Absolutely. So the other day, I was starting on saxophone with on the baritone sax with more of those multiphonics things because they're hard for me, and I just hit it a little bit. But then you know what? I actually was looking forward to getting to that every day and just hitting it for that short amount of time. It's definitely always better to practice for even 10 minutes every day instead of a marathon practice once a week, because it's all about creating those small habits and creating those connections in the brain, and then that's how you see progress. So the other day I went to the gym and I started with 10 burpees. The push-ups, the jumps, I hate them. I really hate them. But I was like, I'm going to get this out of the way right now. And it worked. And then I felt like I could kind of ease through the rest of my practice workout session. So we got some great comments happening. Looking forward to celebrating Women Jazz at the Newport Oregon Jazz Party early October. Me too. That is a fantastic festival. And then right after that, I'm actually headed to Korea, which is going to be awesome. Dale is saying, yes, now it's time to jump into my lesson plans. Thanks. See you down the road. That's what I like to hear, and I love to get updated on how that is going for all of you with the practicing. So here's another concept that I have been thinking about a lot when I've been writing music. I've actually been thinking about picking up a completely different instrument when I'm getting a lack of inspiration. So obviously I love to write on the sax. But the other day, nothing was coming to me. So believe it or not, I actually picked up a tambourine and I just started walking around the apartment playing tambourine and singing. And sure enough, a melody came to me. So I think sometimes when we get stuck in these musical, just like you get stuck in a corner, you just kind of want to, a lot of times for me, I just want to push harder. But then it's literally like me banging my head against the wall. And so what I've been doing now is trying to take a very different approach. So if I'm, just stuck on writing on saxophone or on voice, I will literally pick up the ukulele or I'll pick up the tambourine and I'll free myself up and just try to think of something else. Hello, Gerald. Thanks so much for tuning in from the New York City subway platform. Oh, my gosh. That is so cool to hear. So because of that, I'm going to play you a little New York song. New York, if I can make it there. That's a little New York, New York for my friend Gerald, who is tuned in on the New York City subway platform. Oh my gosh. We had some really great questions from last week's stream. And if you guys have song suggestions or questions, hit me up right now on this stream while we're live. We got some fantastic stuff going on. You know, I actually saw the movie Crazy Rich Asians the other day. I loved it so much. It hit so many heartstrings for me. I cried 3 times, yes. And there's a great Coldplay song called Yellow. You guys know this one? It's a beautiful Coldplay song, and one of the recordings from the movie is by this woman. I believe her name is I had kind of made a note of what her name is. I can't find it right at this moment. Anyway, she sings it in Mandarin, and I was watching the movie. I'm like, oh my God, that's the Coldplay song. And then I found out later that the director of Crazy Rich Asians, John Chu, has a very special connection to that song, Yellow, and especially about him being Asian and the color yellow and what it means to him and the Asian race, and how he thinks it's just such a beautiful song and has always made him feel like the color and our race is even more beautiful because of the lyrics. He wrote to Coldplay to ask them about if he could use the song, and there's a whole story behind it, and it's very touching, and it comes in a beautiful part of the movie. So I was thinking about that. Let's see. We have some song suggestions coming in. Hello, Michael Steinberg. Thank you so much for tuning in. So actually, this is a nice transition into one of the questions from last week. This was a question from L Mission SO and Iramidi. I think these are usernames, so they're not. I might be pronouncing that wrong. So they asked jazz head question. Okay, so this is for the jazzers. Which 10 standards do you think every jazz musician should know? Thank you. Great question. I had to stop a minute and think about this because there's certainly no textbook answer of what 10 songs you should know. What I will say is the songs I came up with are ones that I took a lot of time to study in the beginning of my saxophone education, and they're just I just wanted to write down the song names that particularly hit home to me. First one is All the Things You Are, Jerome Kern. I know some of you know that song. If you know it, send a little heart. This is one of my favorite jazz standards, and I've spent so much time on the song. And now when I'm teaching Skype lessons, I use this song as a vehicle for learning 2-5-1s. It's fantastic because you have to learn all about key changes. There's a lot of 2-5-1s in the song. It's a beautiful melody, beautiful words. You can listen to Sinatra and Joe Stafford singing it, originally from a Broadway musical. But it's a great tool to study because it goes to so many different keys. So that's number one, All the Things You Are. We're going to switch this up a little bit. As I go down the 10 songs that I think are the most important standards that every jazz musician should know, I am going to play a little bit first and then see if any of you guys know the title of that song. If you don't, I'll announce them. Here's the next one. Here's number 2. Anyone know that one? That is one of my favorite blues songs. It's a Charlie Parker song called Billy's Bounce. So I think it's important to know a bunch of different blues heads. This is one of my favorite Charlie Parker ones. Also, a lot of times people call it at jam sessions. It's a great one to know. All right, number 3. You guys know that one? That's a little Jobim for you, the great Brazilian composer singer. That's his song Girl from Ipanema. I grew up listening to the tenor saxophonist Stan Getz and Astrid Gilberto. It's one that digs deep into my heartstrings. To be perfectly honest, learning any Jobim song would be a fantastic choice for a jazz standard. It's a very specific way that the chord changes move under the melodies for Jobim's music, and it's very different than bebop, or it's also very different than any Cole Porter song. So I definitely check out Jobim's catalog and make sure it's one of those 10 jazz standards that you know. Florian, you got it. Girl from Ipanema. By the way, it's super late in Europe. Isn't it like, it's like 3 in the morning, right? That's what someone on Instagram was saying. Wow, thanks for tuning in. Okay, here's the next one. Here's number 4. This is a Charlie Parker song. This is a little Charlie Parker song called Confirmation. I actually worked on this melody for over 6 months with my private instructor, listening to Charlie Parker's version over and over and over, trying to get all the articulation right, and literally going bar, phrase by phrase, bar by bar with my teacher. By the way, Instagram, join me on YouTube or Facebook, because Instagram is giving me a message right now that I only have 2 minutes left for you guys. I guess we've been hanging out for a while. So it's going to shut down, but the stream is still going on. So come on over to YouTube or to my Facebook page, and we're going to keep the conversation going. So yeah, Confirmation. This is a fantastic one. Really hard bebop chord changes, and just to get the melody alone is like a lesson in bebop jazz. Okay, here is another Charlie Parker bebop one. This is number 5. That is a song called Donnelly. And again, it's a legendary bebop melody. So that goes on the list. Here is number 6. That's a song called Anybody? It's called What Is This Thing Called Love? I would listen to Sinatra singing it so slow. He will break your heart, because the words are actually just so heartbreaking. But it has definitely become a jazz standard. And super props if you can learn the great Lee Conant's melody Subconsciously, which is based upon that song. What Is This Thing Called Love? It's based upon those chord changes. I actually spent a lot of time transcribing that song Subconsciously by ear. So there you go. That's the assignment for any musician friends for the week. Okay, so we are up to number 6. Number 7. Hi Diego. Hi Tim. Thanks for joining me on YouTube. Hi William. All right, catching up on these comments. Here's number 6 in my list of 10. Oh, sorry, that was already 6. Here's number 7 in my list of 10. And one of you already mentioned this on the comment section. Anybody? You guys are doing really great on the guesses, by the way. That was a little bit of Autumn Leaves, one of my personal favorites for the jazz standard. Listen to the version with Miles Davis and Cannonball Adderley. Cannonball Adderley rips one of the greatest saxophone solos on that song. Andrew, you got it. It is Autumn Leaves. Okay, that brings us to number 8 on the list. This is a little bit harder. That is a jazz standard called Joy Spring. And it's certainly not one of the most called songs in a jam session or anything like that. I put it on my list because it's very tricky. Just like All the Things You Are, it goes through a lot of different key changes. And the melody is just, it weaves in and out. It is a beautiful song. So I definitely put that on the list. Here's number 9. Anybody? I love how my parents are getting every single song. It's probably because they've heard me playing them many times growing up. All right, you got it. It is How High the Moon. A bunch of you guys guessed that one. Super props to Sax Manglin and William. Yes, you did mention that earlier. So there we go. It did make it on my list. How High the Moon. There's also a great Charlie Parker head that's a melody that's based upon the chords of How High the Moon, but he called his ornithology. It goes a little bit like... Hey. So that's a little bit of ornithology. That's a great sax bebop head to learn alongside How High the Moon. Diego and Tim, I love that you guys have inner conversations. This is so fantastic. I agree with Diego, Tim. I think that you should add some green streaks back into your hair. You look so great with green streaks. Green hair. For those of you who don't know, these two guys who are chatting on YouTube were in my live studio sessions as audience members, and Tim walked in with green hair, and it was amazing because my hair was also bright green. And then I saw him recently at one of my shows, and I almost didn't recognize him because he didn't have green hair. I told him that I really love the green hair. I think maybe everybody should just dye their hair green. Anyways, you guys are definitely cracking me up. Diego, ornithology definitely is hard. That's another head that just took me. Head, when I say head, it's jazz talk for a melody. It's a melody that took me a long time to get. Okay, my friends, that was number 9. Number 10 out of the list. And by the way, this is not in order of importance. This is just what came to my mind. This is number 10. Anybody? That is a little oleo. I think it's important on the list to have a rhythm changes song. So for any of you who don't know what rhythm changes is, it's based on that song. It's a chord change progression that's based on the song I Got Rhythm. You guys know that one. I got rhythm, I got music, I got my man who can ask for anything more. So there's a bunch of melodies that have been written over those chord changes. Oleo, that's the one I was just playing. Lester Leaps In is a great one. Anthropology, Cottontail. So find your favorite rhythm changes and make sure that it makes its way into the 10 standards list. Okay, so that is a pretty comprehensive answer to one of the questions that I got on YouTube last week. I love that question. I'd love to know what you guys think about that song, all of those song choices. And if you are learning any of them, definitely send a video clip of you working on it. I think those 10 songs in itself would take about, a good amount of practice time to learn. So learn them slowly and learn them thoroughly. So my friends, we are kind of coming up to the time where I'm going to say goodbye. Even though I so love hanging out with all of you, I always look forward to our live streams together. I try to put it at this time, Sunday nights. I believe next Sunday I might be in the air traveling. But make sure to just check all my social media because I will post an announcement if I'm going to change the time. And definitely leave a comment below for anything that you found helpful. Share this with your friends. We'd love to get more live viewers in real time. It's really fun to see everybody reacting and writing comments and get in a chat with you. And if you have any other questions or song suggestions for next time, definitely leave it in the comment below. I think I'm going to sign off with a little bit of the Big Mama baritone sax for you guys. I also had a question for all of you. Right now, I'm working on creating some merch that I want to bring on tour with me when I'm in Korea and for my upcoming concerts. Right now, all I have at the merch table are signed albums, but I've been thinking about the idea of creating some t-shirts or coffee cups or pins and magnets. I'm just wondering what you guys would think would be interesting. If you would want any extra swag and water bottles, I don't know. So comment if you have some ideas. I was thinking of starting maybe with some coffee cups with some cool, pictures and maybe my name on it. And in particular, I have some favorite lyrics of mine that that I think might be cool graphic art. So Asher pins, oh my God, Patrick, I love that. So Asher is my dog, and I'm taking that comment incredibly seriously. Would anybody else like to get Asher the dog pins? That is so good. So if you have any ideas, I am all ears. Coffee cups. Okay, it's good to know that you guys would rock some coffee cups. I mean, I'm all about, in general, gifts that are what am I trying to say? In Christmas time, my family is always like, we don't really want gifts, but if you're gonna give a gift, have it be something that we can use and that's useful and that's fun. T-shirt. Okay, great. Thank you, Jerry. Little saxophone keychains. Joshua, that's a great idea. I love that. Tim is saying t-shirts. Yes, green t-shirts. Mark, smartphone chargers with your photo and green cords. Oh my God, you guys are so brilliant. So many pins for sure. Green hair extensions. Ah, you're cracking me up. Green wigs. Would anyone get a green wig? I love it. Maybe we can just pass out green wigs before my show starts. I don't think there would be anything that would make me laugh that hard to see a whole audience in green wigs. We got to make that happen. Those are great ideas. Keep them coming. Thanks, guys. And with that, I am going to sign off with a song on the big baritone sax mama. Do you guys have any song suggestions? Because this is going to be the last one for tonight, and then I'll see you guys next week. Stickers. That's a great idea. Jane is saying Amazing Grace mugs. Wow. I love it. Boy. Patrick, wait till I tell my dog Asher that you said that about creating his swag. He would be so complimented. He'd be completely flattered. Actually, my mom and dad who are tuned in. Mom, Dad, can you tell Asher right now that Patrick said that? So, here we go. I love the wigs idea. Oh, this is so great. I love all of your brainstorming. You guys know this one? Hey. Oh, so Papa was a Rolling Stone. I just feel like It is so fun to play those low notes on the bari. It gets my whole body shaking. I love it. Somebody was asking if this would be merch on my online store. Yes, a lot of this would be merch on the online store, and I probably could bring the smaller items with me on tour as well. I was also thinking about maybe some bracelets for any of the ladies out there. I love all of these ideas. Gary is saying t-shirts, water bottles, GK, visor caps. Wah! Okay, so we have some good song suggestions for me to sign off with. Gary's saying Harlem Nocturne. Yeah, that's an awesome one. Ooh, Tim is saying fish and chips. I'm going to do that one because I hardly ever get to play it on Barry. Goes out to my friend Gary. Okay, I gotta do something groovy on the way out, so I'm gonna reprise Fish and Chips and say goodnight to you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in Sunday night. I'll see you guys next week. For any friends in New Jersey or Philly, tomorrow I'm gonna be in Camden, New Jersey, at the Wiggins Waterfront, and it's a free event. Bring all of your friends. Scream loudly. Thank you so much, everybody. I'm sending much love, and stay in touch. Comment below with any thoughts or song suggestions or questions for next week. And thank you for taking the time. Mwah! Much love to you. Here's the reprise. Okay, everybody. Good night. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday, and much love.